Holy shit. He said what?
Harry and Meghan are leaving the palace to become financially independent. And you see, this is what happens when you bring the first black woman into the royal family. Yeah, she looked at Harry and she's like, "Nigga, you need to get a job. You a grown-ass man. You can't still be living in your mama's house, Harry."
Have you ever seen that video?
No.
Pull that video up, because it's one of my favorite.
No more following Granny's rules. Don't wear your pants on your head, Harry. Don't bath on the butler, Harry. If I want to play polo in my living room, who's gonna stop me?
Stop that.
Right away, Megs.
Oh, honey, let me tell you, lad, that when Trevor Noah aimed his comedic fire straight at Meghan Markle, it didn't feel like a comedy routine anymore. No, no, no. It was like the spotlight turned into a courtroom and Meghan was suddenly on trial. And the audience, they weren't giving polite chuckles, the kind you offer when you don't want to seem rude. Oh no, these were those sharp, guilty, can't-hold-it-in laughs. The kind of laugh that bursts out when you realize someone is finally saying what everyone else has been whispering about behind closed doors. And Meghan, for once, she wasn't controlling the narrative. This wasn't Oprah's cozy backyard, this wasn't a glossy magazine profile, and this certainly wasn't a carefully edited Netflix special. This was live, raw, and cutting. And Trevor Noah wasn't just joking. He was pulling down every single layer Meghan had built around herself.
Damn, Harry and Meghan are losing their titles? That's the most embarrassing royal loss since William's hairline.
Trevor didn't come on stage to do lighthearted royal family quips about Netflix shows or corgis. No, darling. He strutted out with the precision of a lawyer and the bite of a scalpel. His timing, razor sharp. His delivery, lethal. And unlike British or American comics who often walk on eggshells when it comes to race, royalty, or Meghan's carefully protected victim card, Trevor had a weapon they didn't. His own global perspective. You could feel it instantly. This wasn't going to be the Meghan Markle puff piece she was used to. This was going to sting.
Queen has announced that Harry and Meghan can no longer describe themselves as royal. And I won't lie, if I was Harry and Meghan, I'll be like, fine, then we'll be known as Royale.
For years, Meghan had been waving her shield like a pro. Anyone who dared criticize her was instantly branded as jealous, bitter, or, her favorite, racist. But here was Trevor Noah, a man who had lived through apartheid South Africa, a man who understood racial nuance better than any palace aide, and he wasn't buying her act. No, he cut right through it. He wasn't laughing with her, he was laughing at her. He dismantled her image brick by brick, and you could practically hear Meghan's PR team choking on their green juices somewhere in Montecito. And oh, that smile Trevor gave between punchlines. It wasn't a comedian's grin. It was a knowing smirk that screamed, "I see you, Meghan." And now, so does everyone else. This wasn't comedy anymore. This was revelation. And the worst part, once people saw it, they couldn't unsee it.
Though I do have to admit this, right? I always find it weird when people introduce a new baby. Because if you think about it, there's such a big contrast between the end product and how it was made. The result of our sweaty night of just raw dogging, #blessed.
Then came the bombshell. Trevor did what Meghan thought no comedian would dare. He went straight for the jugular. Race. That sacred card Meghan loved to play whenever she felt cornered. Most comics would tiptoe here, but Trevor, he went all in. With his South African roots, his very identity built on navigating race across continents, he turned her narrative upside down. He called out the coded language in her press coverage. Yes, he acknowledged it existed, but then he twisted it, showing how Meghan herself weaponized those narratives when it suited her. The crowd gasped. Then they laughed, and Meghan's carefully crafted armor, it started to crack.
The question is, if Harry and Meghan come to America, where they're gonna live? Everyone wants to know. I think they'll move to LA because Meghan is an actor, and then she's gonna wanna work again, and then Harry can just join the cast of Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Yeah, just be like fighting on TV. I know what you said about me, Denise. Say it to my face.
And then, oh honey, then he hit the marriage. Meghan's so-called fairy tale. You know the one? The Hollywood actress who found true love with a real-life prince? Well, Trevor tore it apart like a tabloid headline on steroids. He painted Harry not as a noble prince fighting for love, but as a jobless man desperately clinging to relevance. And Meghan? Trevor cast her as the ultimate Hollywood climber, the woman who didn't just network her way into the right parties, but into Buckingham Palace itself. The moment that left the audience howling, Trevor imagining Prince Harry hustling at networking events, begging for cartoon voiceover gigs, while Meghan schmoozed her way through Hollywood's elite. It wasn't just funny, it was brutal, humiliating. It stripped the royal romance down to what so many people already suspected. This wasn't love against all odds, it was a business deal dressed up in Dior.
What's funny is that no matter what job Prince Harry gets, you realize he's still gonna be Prince Harry, right? Can you imagine being his boss when he screws up? Like, what do you call him in and say? Prince Harry, get in here, your majesty! You blew the Henderson account, my lord! Clean out your desk and may God save the Queen!
The image of Harry standing awkwardly in a corner, pitching himself for cartoon roles while Meghan worked the room like a seasoned socialite, that was the death blow. The band laughed, the audience roared, and Meghan's global humanitarian brand shredded in under 3 minutes. Trevor Noah had managed to reduce her empire, built on victimhood and PR, into a punchline, and people loved it.
Corden is a 12-time Emmy winner and the host of The Late Late Show. He's also living proof that a man can move from London to LA and not tell everyone about his frostbitten penis.
But oh darling, Trevor wasn't done. His takedown was just the spark. Once he lit the fuse, the entire comedy world smelled blood. Suddenly, Meghan wasn't the untouchable Duchess anymore. She was the joke of the week, and everyone wanted a piece. American comedians piled on like sharks in a feeding frenzy. Conan O'Brien went surreal, turning the news of Meghan and Harry's wax figures being pulled from Madame Tussauds into a bizarre fantasy about where they'd end up next. Spoiler, it wasn't anywhere glamorous. Saturday Night Live? They went for Harry, making him a recurring sketch character, a goofy, bumbling ex-prince who couldn't quite fit in. Meghan, meanwhile, was portrayed as the force dragging the world into cringe-worthy content no one asked for. And then came Joe Rogan. He didn't even bother with clever writing. He just unloaded his personal beef with Harry straight onto the mic, roasting him raw. And within a week, Meghan Markle had gone from headline news to late-night punchline. And not the flattering kind.
And this is sweet. Meghan Markle said she has a finger they can use if they need it.
By now, Meghan wasn't just roasted, she was branded. Every comedian had their claws in, every sketch had her name in its script. She had been officially inducted into America's Hall of Celebrity Clowns, the place where once you're in, darling, you never get out. And as bad as that was, the Brits were about to go even harder.
You know, I mean, she used to be on
Was
Deal or
he
No
infiltrated?
Deal. Look, she was on Deal or No Deal.
Yeah, that's right.
And then the wife convinces you to leave the royal family. Like, I'm out. I don't need you guys. Which is crazy, because don't you just get free money?
Because if American comedians served their jabs with smiles and satire, the British comics came with knives sharpened. These weren't jokes anymore. These were homegrown assassinations from people who had grown up under the monarchy's shadow and who weren't afraid to slice deep. Andrew Schultz set the tone. He didn't even pretend to care. He dismissed Harry and Meghan with one line so savage it froze the room before detonating into laughter.
Oh my God, it's been so long, Miss Meghan Markle.
Then came Mickey Glazer. Oh honey, Mickey painted a vivid alternate reality for Meghan, one where she was still grinding for scraps in Hollywood. Background roles, desperate auditions, hustling for exposure, no tiaras, no palaces, just another actress clawing for relevance. The crowd winced and then laughed because deep down they knew it was true.
I mean this sincerely, Prince Harry and Meghan, we don't give a America don't give a about you.
And Simon Brodkin? He reduced their glossy Netflix documentary to rubble with one cynical, cutting line. The entire series, he said, wasn't a love story. It was a vanity project, a cash grab. The audience howled, and Meghan's Netflix empire suddenly looked more like a cheap reality TV pitch than a groundbreaking documentary.
She wants to be famous. She found the guy to make her the most famous in the world, and now she's over there and she's like, if she didn't marry him, she would be on The Bachelor this season. She would be Megan M. from Sherman Oaks barista. She's just got lucky.
But the most devastating blows, they didn't come from stand-up stages. They came from satire. Cartoons, puppets, animations, shows that didn't just joke about Meghan and Harry, they carved them into caricatures, embedding their mocked images into culture forever. And darling, once you become a cartoon, there's no going back.
Watch the Harry and Meghan Netflix documentary. Before I watched it, I was not a fan of theirs. I f***ing hate them.
Now, while American comics eventually moved on to other scandals, because let's be real, Hollywood always provides new material, the Brits, they were relentless. They treated Meghan not as a passing punchline, but as a national sport. Every new Netflix scene, every podcast interview, every magazine spread, Meghan tried to spin into her own narrative. They recycled it back into mockery. For them, Meghan wasn't a duchess. She was a permanent comedic character, the gift that kept on giving. And then, oh darling, came Spitting Image. When Britain's most infamous puppet satire turned its sights on Meghan and Harry, it wasn't just comedy. It was character assassination with foam and felt. Meghan's puppet, exaggerated beauty, over-the-top glamour, and that sly, constant smirk. Always scheming, always chasing her next big publicity hit. And Harry, oh, they did him dirty. They reduced him to a clueless man-child so pampered that he literally needed his butler to hand him the TV remote. The audience roared, because deep down, wasn't that how many already saw him? And the skits only got worse from there. In one, Meghan and Harry brainstormed new career ventures that looked more like late-night infomercial scams than royal projects. The message was crystal clear. The Netflix deal, the Spotify podcast, the book deals, they weren't legacies, they were hustles. Quick cash grabs dressed in royal lace. And Meghan's wellness brand image, obliterated. In one segment, Meghan proudly promoted a revolting smoothie. So disgusting, the other puppets gagged on set. It was absurd, it was cruel, but it was brilliant because it exposed what the public was already thinking. Meghan's curated lifestyle branding wasn't inspiring, it was laughable. That's the genius of Spitting Image. It didn't just poke fun, it ripped apart the gap between Meghan and Harry's speeches about struggle and their reality of mansions, private jets, and Hollywood circles. The puppets captured the truth PR teams couldn't erase. And unlike stand-up comedy that fades after one night, these puppet clips lived forever online, racking up millions of views. Meghan and Harry's caricatures had been cemented in pop culture, a stain that simply wouldn't wash out. And just when you thought the satire couldn't get more savage, Jimmy Carr entered the ring. Oh, honey, buckle up. Jimmy Carr doesn't play nice. He's built his career on pushing the limits, walking into controversy with a smirk. And when he stepped on stage to talk about Meghan, you could feel the audience tighten. Everyone knew something brutal was about to drop, and brutal it was. With his signature sharp delivery, Carr set up Meghan's lifelong feminist label, and then cut it down in one savage punchline. Meghan Markle is, of course, a lifelong feminist. She's demonstrated that by marrying a prince and giving up her job. The crowd erupted. Laughter, gasps, disbelief. Meghan's victim card, shredded on live TV, and Carr wasn't finished. He went further, mocking her endless victimhood narrative. She keeps playing the card. I'm a victim, and you just think, no, you're not. The backlash was immediate. Think pieces, radio debates, TV pundits crying foul. Some said Carr had gone too far, that it was reckless, even dangerous. Others defended it as pure comedy, the kind of dark honesty Meghan had long tried to bury. But here's the irony, darling. The outrage only made the joke bigger. Clips spread like wildfire. Arguments split down the middle. And Meghan's reputation, collateral damage in a cultural war she could never win. This wasn't just a roast anymore. This was history, a turning point. The moment Meghan Markle became less of a royal rebel and more of a running gag. And then the internet took over. Oh, and trust me, the internet is far crueler than any comedian. TikTok, Twitter, YouTube, they turned Meghan and Harry into 24/7 roast material. Every clip, every photo, every awkward pause became meme fodder. Remember that moment in Meghan's Netflix series when she corrected Mindy Kaling on her name? Blink and you miss it. But the internet didn't miss it. Oh no, they slowed it down, replayed it, captioned it. And suddenly, Meghan's overcorrection became a meme template plastered across every imaginable scenario. One viral parody had Meghan shouting, "My name is Meghan Sussex now. Call me Meghan Markle one more time." The internet ate it up, and it didn't stop there. Fake cooking shows, parody lifestyle tutorials, Meghan lookalikes sipping champagne while giving budget living tips. The internet turned her curated image into satire gold. Even music videos popped up, remixing her interviews into auto-tuned dance tracks. Titles like Royal Reality Check blasted across TikTok, racking up millions of views. And the key difference? These weren't comedians with reputations or PR to worry about. These were anonymous creators, global, endless, and vicious. They didn't just mock Meghan and Harry, they owned their image. At that point, Meghan wasn't just roasted, she was hijacked. Her brand belonged to the internet now, and it was a parody factory with no off switch. And beneath the laughs and memes, a deeper truth was boiling. You see, Meghan and Harry had built their post-royal careers on contradictions. On one hand, they cried victim, "We just want privacy, we want peace." On the other hand, they sold their lives for cash. Tell-all interviews, behind-the-scenes Netflix deals, overexposed podcasts. Every heartfelt plea for privacy was undercut by yet another photo shoot, another book deal, another exclusive. And the public, they saw right through it. They weren't buying the fairy tale anymore. They were laughing hard. One viral parody showed Meghan making salad. Yes, salad, like it was groundbreaking. Viewers mocked. First time Meghan Markle has actually touched food in her life. Savage, brutal, but people believed it. Because the problem wasn't one scandal. It wasn't one PR misstep. It was the contradiction at the heart of Meghan and Harry's brand. They couldn't escape it. Every move they made became another joke, another meme, another roast. And in the age of social media, that kind of trap, you can't climb out of it because the internet never forgets. Trevor Noah may have fired the first shot, but what followed was an all-out cultural ambush. American comics, British comics, puppet shows, internet trolls, every single one of them ripped Meghan and Harry apart from every possible angle. And here's the real nightmare for Meghan. Once you become a running joke, once the world decides your brand is funnier mocked than respected, there's no going back. Every new interview risks becoming a meme. Every photo becomes parody material. Every authentic moment becomes a punchline. Because Meghan and Harry didn't just lose control of the narrative, they handed it over. And comedy, ruthless, unfiltered comedy, found every single crack. So now the question hangs over them like a storm cloud. Can you ever reclaim your story once the world decides you're funnier as a joke? Spoiler, the internet has already answered. And trust me, darling, it's not in Meghan's favor. Not in Meghan's favor. Not in...